last time we saw the Browns press conference room active was yesterday when they introduced Kenny Pickett to the Cleveland media. And Pickett says he believes he's a starter in this league, fully is aware that a veteran is coming in. And sure enough, the irony in the building was the guy who showed up in the building in Pittsburgh this time last year. And Pickett's like, get me out of here.
Now look at it.
Oh, man.
Russell Wilson's presence in Pittsburgh was the reason why he said, get me out. And he shows up in Cleveland, who acquires him from the spot that Pittsburgh deposited him because he wanted his exit visa. And now Cleveland acquires him from Philadelphia. And as he's being introduced, in the building is Russell Wilson. And in the building talking to Russell Wilson about becoming a Cleveland Brown, apparently was none other than a guy who, as of 1 week ago today, we were talking about with Tom Pelissero, asking to speak to the owner of the Cleveland Browns, and was told no. You may not have a meeting. And we were talking about Jimmy Haslam's sourpuss closed-door policy.
You'll get nothing and like it.
And within 48 hours, we learned about Jimmy Haslam's open wallet policy. And the closed-door policy.
Better policy.
And the apparent door that Myles Garrett had closed because he thought the door had closed on being able to win a Super Bowl championship in Cleveland had closed. And Myles Garrett yesterday was telling Russell Wilson, Cleveland's a great place to play. Join us and help us win. As the guy who showed up in the AFC North last year and went from 4-2 and 10-3 for the Pittsburgh Steelers, was in the building, just as the guy who asked out of his previous building in the AFC North because Russ had walked into it, was meeting with the media talking about, I think I'm a starter. What the hell's going on in Cleveland is basically what I'm saying.
Wow. That's unbelievable.
I don't think I missed anything.
What the hell going on?
Thank you.
So today, Myles Garrett is showing up. And he's introduced to the Cleveland media as the first $40 million a year non-quarterback in the history of the National Football League. And there's a circle that needs to be squared. That circle was the wagons during Super Bowl week of Team Myles Garrett, around Myles Garrett, saying, hey, if he sits down, you're going to ask him about his trade demand. And the answer that came back from this very mouth was, yeah. And Myles kindly showed up to our program 2 days after announcing via his channels that he wants out of Cleveland. He's asked out of Cleveland, and he wants out of Cleveland because he thinks you can't win in Cleveland any longer. And he wants to go somewhere to win, and he showed up and basically said he wants out. Now here he is as a $40 million a year player in Cleveland, saying, in part, that talking to shows like this one helped get him this contract.
So,
dude,
where's
hold on a second. Hold on a minute. Hold your powder,
just,
sir. Hold.
Okay.
Influencer.
Hold. I mean, there's a feather you could have knocked me over this morning when I heard this soundbite at his press conference. When he was asked about that whole you can't win here thing and how should that sit with Cleveland fans now that you're here still?
Well, what had happened was.
Roll it.
Like I said, that media road run,
that created more discourse between myself and management. That created conversation between myself and AB, Jimmy, and up and down the chain, and that kind of stuff became a main variable for this deal getting done. These conversations down the road. So I think the fans will see that my heart's in the right place. It's never been about money. It's always been about winning, and that's where my frustration lies. And I want to thank Nicole because she's the best agent in the world, and I didn't have any really input on how the deal was going to look, but I just know that when the time came, and we all know we're on the same page. That she went on and did what she does and got the best deal possible for myself and for the Browns.
All right, first things first here. What's with the toy dinosaurs?
That's what I said.
I think that's a Myles Garrett thing.
Like it?
Yeah.
Radio audience, there were these toy dinosaurs that I loved as a kid. When I wound up being taken by my parents and my school to a trip to the Natural History Museum of New York City, I would buy those. My God, it was great. I love the Stegosaurus, Triceratops. I digress.
They also had dinosaur cupcakes.
Got it?
Easier to step on.
You know what? There's still money left over to buy him some cupcakes.
Sure. Is there?
All I'm wondering is, listen, Nicole, he's referring to Nicole Lynn, his agent.
She's
Do I get a cut?
Yeah.
I mean, he said it was shows like this one that started the process, which is kind of not what we heard on the day of the interview.
Just like a smidge, like a 0.5% or something.
Just saying.
You know what I mean? Just wet my beak.
Yeah, a little bit. I like toy dinosaurs on the desk, too.
I like cupcakes.
I love you.
Jay Felly.
Listen, I explained it before. We all have a number. We all got a number. Certainly when you're staring in the face 4 or 5 months of holdout hell. Who wants holdout hell? No one wants holdout hell. No one wants holdout hell. The Browns don't want holdout hell. The player doesn't want holdout hell. The agent doesn't want holdout hell. No one wants to be in that holdout hell. Because that would have been the conversation all week long, is who's trading for Myles Garrett and who didn't trade for Myles Garrett and why didn't they trade Myles Garrett and shouldn't they get the draft choices for Myles Garrett. And that may be a conversation down the road. And the same thing with Myles Garrett, too. Conversation down the road if the Browns don't perform well this year or next and they're in the quarterback hell. The Pickett / maybe Russ plan that couldn't coexist in Pittsburgh suddenly could coexist in Cleveland. I guess that's what taking a victory formation in Philadelphia can do to a guy. You know? That whatever they couldn't coexist in Cleveland and Pittsburgh could coexist in Cleveland, but that doesn't work out. And then Deshaun's coming back saying, hey, I've got a repaired Achilles and a $40-some-odd million one-year deal that's left, and why not try me one more time? Give me the opportunity you gave Pickett and Russ. Let's see how that goes. And if that doesn't work out, maybe they get Cam Ward anyway, and he's lurking behind the Pickett-Russ scene. And then he's there when Deshaun is raising his hand saying, I got a repaired Achilles and all that sort of stuff. And if all that doesn't work out, then they'll come back to Myles and say, is the $40 million worth it? And his answer probably would be, sure it is. You know why? Have you seen my home?
$40 million.
You know? But all that said is it still won't erase Myles saying, oh, it's always been about winning here. It's never been about the money. After the money arrives, after he says it's only about the winning, and it's a very difficult circle to square. But that's something he can deal with. He's as I saw in person, a very big dude. He can handle it with a thick skin and an armor, and he's going to the Hall of Fame and all of that stuff. And, you know, he can live with it. But he's going to have to, because this is the conversation that's going to be had about him. Especially, you know, when he was asked point blank if a Super Bowl needs to happen in order for the contract to be worth it.
Do you need to win a Super Bowl here for this to be the right decision for you to sign that extension?
Long pause.
I think we all play the game to win a Super Bowl. So whether it's for, this dollar amount or any dollar amount, I think that's what we get into the game for regardless. So I'm not worried about whether that's the right decision or not. No, that's always been the plan since day one.
Do you feel now that you want to finish your career in Cleveland? And if so, might this be even more meaningful to you than ever before?
As I said earlier, I've always wanted to end my career here. The team I started with, I wanted to end with, and with the contract now, that'll likely be how things go for as long as they'll have me. So I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad to have supported Cleveland, and for those who may have taken a step back, like I said, I'll continue to change their opinions with my play and what I continue to do day in and day out.
On second thought, I loved Brontosaurus as a kid too. I've just seen that Brontosaurus.
Yeah, the big neck.
Listen, he's a good dude, man. He's one to root for. He just was sitting there and he thought to himself, this sucks. We're not going to win here right now. And you know what? I'm hanging out at the Pro Bowl. I'm seeing everybody coming off of their championship runs and them talking to the Eagles that are there. And, I want out. And then the Browns say, we're not letting you out. And here's $40 million a year. And who's listening to me would say no to that?
Yeah.
I get it. I totally get it. And now he doesn't have to answer these questions anymore. I've answered them. And as he said, did you hear what he said to Russell apparently when he was asked what was your sell pitch to Russ to come here? And he says, I want to have to put you on the ground 3-4 times a year. You know what I mean? It's just
come here and I won't hurt you.
By the way, it's a very effective approach.
I sold.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. Uncle, where's the dotted line?
Yeah.
Especially since I'm not going to be sitting around waiting for Aaron Rodgers to make a decision. Russ can jump. So, and the plan for Browns fans, they might be sitting there going, is his heart really into it or not? He's going to sack the free world and you're going to enjoy it. The question is will there be more W's than L's in the standings? And how will that affect Myles Garrett down the road? Do you care about down the road now in 2025? Probably not. But in 2025, what is going to be the situation at quarterback? Period. End of story. And now Myles when he's asked about this I've been asked it. I'm done. He went through the question crucible today in which some of the answers don't square the circle, but he'll go home and just turn the page and be Myles Garrett. Good dude in the community, good dude in his world, and I'll be waiting for my cut.
If Russ signs, does Kenny Pickett want backseats on the trade? Or
maybe he'll go to Pittsburgh. In the way that all this craziness is happening. I want out. How much? I don't want to be here because Russ is here. Oh, I'm here on the day Russ is here being introduced as the starter in Cleveland. Pickett as a quarterback in Cleveland was being introduced. I can't make this up. But that's why I love the NFL, why you love the NFL, why we all do. Can't make it up. Catch the Rich Eisen Show live weekdays from 12 to 3 p.m. Eastern on Roku Sports Channel in the U.S.